Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's show. Coming up, it looks like Disneyland could be getting closer to opening up one day. Same thing goes for Walt Disney World. Also, the NBA may be coming to Walt Disney World, so we're going to talk a lot about that, plus so much more. From our houses around Florida and actually the United States today, this is the Diz Unplugged. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of The Diz Unplugged. I am your host today, Craig Williams, filling in for Pete Werner. He is, I'm actually not quite sure. So I know Pete went to the doctor this morning. I don't know what for, so I don't want to get crazy about that because I'm sure it was on our work calendar. So I'm pretty sure it was something just routine that he already had planned. But at the end of the day, he said that he wasn't feeling very well and did not want to do the show this week. So that's why I am stepping in this week as your host. So if I seem a little bit ill-prepared, that is because I am ill-prepared for this. Unprepared? I don't know why I'm saying ill-prepared. That doesn't make sense. Anyways.
You're ill.
We'll try to keep this thing on the rails as much as possible. So we're going to have a lot of fun regardless along the way. And of course, it's not just going to be me here having fun. I am joined by my very good friends. We have Corey Martin.
I'm just happy to be here.
Yes, you are. We have Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
Hi. We have Jackie Gailey.
Hi.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, and then we also have Paul Krieger. Some of you might know him from the DVC show, but making his debut here on the Walt Disney World edition. Paul Krieger.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, sorry, that was my fault there. I was like, I'm going to announce your name, and then after that, I am going to continue your introduction and not let you say hi.
You said the name right, so that's...
It's a pretty straightforward name. I would hope that not many people stumble around on it, but we have a really great episode for you here today, so we will get to all that in just a second. But of course, I also want to mention that today's episode is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. Of course, if you want to support us right now in this time before the theme parks finally kick into high gear and open up along with Disney Cruise Line and all the other vacations, you can still book a future vacation right now through Dreams Unlimited Travel. We have plenty of experts that are ready to help you with all of your vacation planning needs for trips to Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Universal Orlando, like I already said, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney one day on that. So we didn't have that fun little ad read in the intro because I realized that is a pre-recorded voice from Pete that starts off automatically every single week. So I'm like, oh, I've got to cannot let that start. Otherwise, that will
Pete calls. I can only do the intro.
Exactly.
Should have put it in there.
Right.
But yeah, so that will help us out enormously during this time if you want to book your future vacations with Dreams Unlimited Travel. But yeah, beyond that, I don't think we have anything else to really say. So should we get to the news, people that I have on this stream with me?
Sure.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
You're the host. You tell us.
Yeah. Tell us what to do.
I mean, I don't know.
reason.
So.
Take
Boss
charge.
me around, Craig.
Listen, this was my way of trying to tell you guys I needed a second to start pulling up all the news stories on my phone. And of course, as I'm doing that right now, my internet isn't loading anything. Probably because we're doing a live stream.
I thought we were
here,
going to play I've Never Ever.
What did you say? Sorry?
Stop. Never mind. Keep going.
He said he wanted to play Never Have I Ever.
Okay. Fantastic. This is turning into a disaster right away. Literally nothing is loading.
At Disney.
Do you want me to pull it up, Craig?
Do you have any idea of what we're pulling up, Rhino?
I don't, but if you told me right now, everyone would know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I'm just going to wing
Which
it.
story
Someone
do
will
you
come
wanna talk
along.
about
So
first?
the first thing we're going to talk about first is that Cancellations last week ended up coming out for Walt Disney World and Disneyland, at least through June 13th, I believe was the exact date.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
and so that is the current time frame that, at least for the hotel reservations, and I know that was for most of the dining reservations and experiences too. So that is kind of where we're at right now. I believe that what day of the week did that happen, Jackie?
That's a question.
Thursday, I think.
Thursday.
Was it Thursday?
Okay.
I was going to say Wednesday, but Thursday, yeah.
Okay, so that happened on Thursday. So if we are going to end up seeing more cancellations, we should probably expect them at roughly the same time this week. I feel like every single week.
Yeah.
That
The thing is, I think that they're kind of testing to see, how Disney Springs looks like. And from what I've seen, there's not a lot of people there. And so I don't know if people, I mean, I think that people just don't feel comfortable just going out there yet. So it's hard to say, really.
Yeah, I think a big part of that too is being that a lot of the resorts, there's nowhere to stay. So like, unless you're really like a local or somebody maybe who's passing through, that where do you go? And I've said it before, I don't think the resorts will open for a while after the parks. I think it'll be parks first, and then because that way they can have a complete lockdown of the property every night with nobody having to worry about anybody. And if they choose to just be not open the next day, then they can do that.
Yep. I think you're right, Rhino. I think you're right. Because if they have resorts full of guests, what are they going to do?
Exactly.
They can't. I mean, I think you're right. I think that they're going to sort of test it out with people who do not have to fly in.
Oh, yeah.
So, and stay there, that can just go, turn around and go back to their homes.
But you did bring up a really important thing that we should mention on the show, even though none of us that is doing this show right now have been to Disney Springs yet. It did reopen last Wednesday with all those safety measures in place. The third-party restaurant opened up as part of that, and then we'll start to see some of those Disney reopenings starting tomorrow. That includes World of Disney, Deluxe Burger, and the Marketplace Co-op. And like Jackie said, social media has been talking about how dead it actually is, and that I can't figure out if it's I'll know more once I actually get to go there. I can't figure out if it's truly dead or if it's just that it's such a massive space that people aren't feeling the crowds at all there. Because like when I was at City Walk, it felt crowded, but that's also a much smaller area. The walkways aren't nearly as wide. It's very tight in a lot of areas, so it felt pretty crowded. But I was thinking about it in the context of, if you take all those people that were at City Walk while I was there and place them in Disney Springs, I feel like it would be an absolute ghost town. So that's one of the things I like. So can we really base it on, is it more based on, is it feel crowded or is it genuinely not? Like, I would hope these businesses are doing well in this time, considering they're reopening. And I know a lot of places like Boathouse, people are talking about how it's pretty much like a 30 minute wait during like busy times to get in. So that seems significant. But I'm really wondering if there are a lot of people going, it just doesn't feel that way because of how massive Disney Springs is.
See, it's hard to say. Some of the pictures that I've seen are sort of a wide angle picture with only, a few guests in it. So like, I know that some of the pictures that have been shared on the news of beaches with what looks like a lot of people, it's sometimes hard to say, depending on the angle that it's filmed at, how many people there actually are and how far away they actually are. But some of these Disney Springs pictures I've been seeing, you can only count 2 or 3 pictures, and you're seeing, like, how in the town center you have that big wide open space, and you see maybe just 3 or 4 guests at the most in all of that space, and it's like, oh gosh, not too many people hanging out. So
From the from the pictures that I've seen, in chat they said I sound like I sound like a robot. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we were having issues there for about 30 seconds. Everyone was we were close to losing the connection, and then it came back through. So
okay, I'm good now.
Yep.
All right, cool. But what was I again? Oh, all the photos and updates that I've seen from Disney Springs was exactly how I pictured it in my head. Everything looks so well organized and well done. Now, I wasn't really looking at the crowds per se. I was looking at more of the cast members and the lines on the ground and all of that stuff, just to kind of manage my own expectations. But, I just cannot wait to see what the parks are going to look like. But I really, that gives us a taste of what we can expect. They seem like they really thought it out. They have to.
Yeah. I mean, one thing Disney is really amazing at. I've always been amazed by it is their crowd control is, I mean, they really know how to do it. But I think the thing that I'm the most leery about is getting people to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's the hard part with all of this is that, like, my time at Universal, I was telling everyone in our group before that I wasn't going to talk about Universal because I've talked about it enough, and now I am talking about it over and over again. So that worked real well. But my time at Universal, the main thing I kind of learned from it is that you can follow the rules as much as you want, but that doesn't mean that everyone around you is actually going to follow the rules. Like, there was points where I'm walking around in areas that there was plenty of space and any amount of room for people to finally get around me, but yet people were still just like, they didn't care at all. They're just like, well, this is the path we want to take. We're going to take it. And if that means I'm going to come within a foot of you and close to bumping into you, then I'm actually going to do that too. And that's, that is obnoxious because it's completely avoidable. It's just it comes down to people being responsible. And you know what? I'm not going to get into a debate on any of this, whether or not masks are good. It's people have already made up their minds on all of that. But at the very least, with all of this, we should learn to, like, respect other people's space for our safety and their safety. And it drives me nuts that through all of this, people are just still like, no, I'm not going to pay attention to who's around me. I'm at a theme park.
It's what you always say, it's like that vacation brain. You always said it was vacation brain. And now I'm like, well, it's pandemic brain and you're acting just as selfish as you were before. So, for me, it's not even, it's like what Craig just said. You said it perfectly, saying like people had already made up their mind one way or another. And that's whatever, that's their prerogative. But there are rules in place that have been established by the place that you are visiting, and we have rules for a reason. And it's like what you just said, like, this is going to be now everyone who says like, oh, I saw somebody without a mask at Disney. Like, yeah, well, Disney's a place where people go to break the rules all the time. So it's up to Disney and other people, I guess, to just kind of be like, hey, excuse me, please respect others. But this. And
I hope this puts close talkers in check. Those people that talk so close you can smell what they ate yesterday? Hopefully.
I thought you loved it when I whispered in your ear.
Back up, little buddy.
And I'm fine when people want to, like, take off their mask if they go to a completely out of the way area where no one else is. Like, why not? It started driving me nuts when people were taking their masks off and then, like, I'm gonna walk into this crowd and I'm going to do that. It's like, if you want to stand all the way off by yourself, you're not hurting anyone doing that. You're staying 6 feet away. Just, it's once you start getting around people, just follow the rules. And I will say, the one thing I grossly underestimated in all of this was how much it would really stink wearing a mask when it was super hot outside, because the day that we went to City Walk, it was like 96 degrees when we were actually there. And if you know me, I walk with a purpose. I don't just leisurely stroll around. So because of how fast I move and what I do, after about 30 minutes, it was pretty unbearable. So I can only imagine like how once it reaches those 3 digits, like now I finally can imagine like how terrible it's going to be. I was one of those people who was kind of saying like, it's going to be hot, but if you really want to go, then you're going to put up with it. But now I'm kind of like, well, yeah, you still will put up with it, but it's going to be bad for a lot of people. There are going to be a lot of fainters and such.
Okay.
We experienced our first wave of some weather this week up here in the north, and I 100% agree with you there. I mean, even up here where we're talking like 80s or 85 degrees, it being out and about in a mask, I mean, it gets a little hot.
We, Craig, going back to what you were talking about, where like if you're in a spot, I don't know, I use Home Depot for everything. Julie's been sending me to the garden section a lot, but that's a perfect example of being in an area where there's nobody. You know, I'm in the mulch aisle. I'm going to take my mask off. And as soon as somebody comes close, or I'm going to go in the store, I'll put my mask back on. So, and I'm going to say, I know this is more of a housekeeping, but if we're talking about masks and we're talking about how uncomfortable or comfortable they can be. I just posted a story on the Diz Instagram account, received a ton of samples of different types of masks, different types of materials, and I am putting it through the Florida heat test. We even took the kids, poor kids, their first outing out the house, and we took them to the garden section of Lowe's, mainly because Ferris wanted to wear a mask. He wanted to try one. Finley, we had to pull her out the house by her hair, but we take him to the garden section because it was nice and open, and it also gave us a chance of seeing what this Florida heat is going to be like wearing this. And I tell you, it's going to suck. Yeah. I don't care what material you put on your face. There are a couple that are really light, and I'll go outside in the backyard, chase some bears with a mask on, and just to see how much it sweats, you know, how dirty it gets. But it's a process. The landscape of these masks are changing daily. There's a new product coming out daily. So before we commit, we're doing our research before we order 2,000 of these things.
Yeah, I was looking through old photos, and I found the photo of myself on the riser for the grand opening of Toy Story Land, and that was at like 8 a.m. That was the end of June 2 years back, and we stood in one place for like an hour. It wasn't even like moving around. It was just standing in one place, and I had to have a cooling towel just soaked and draped around my neck to keep me okay with that. And so I don't really know why I just started making up in my head that, it'll be fine wearing a mask when it's that hot outside, because I couldn't even stand outside on a riser, not moving for an hour without getting just like completely overwhelmed and overheated on it. So it's definitely going to affect how a lot of people do visit here when they finally do. It's going to be bad, but.
And we're looking also at the buffs. You know, you wear them around your neck and you can pull them up. Those are really easy. They're convenient. You pull them up, pull them down, but then it's a double-edged sword. We're dealing with Florida heat. Do you want something around your neck the whole day that's not a sweat towel? Or maybe it doubles as a sweat towel. I don't know, a sweat towel mask. I have no idea. But you know what I'm saying? Having something around your neck all day, it's... I see your face right now. He's like a sweat towel mask.
I was like, do you mean a bandana?
Yeah. I think it's a Gator. Is that the word?
Corey is reinventing the Old West.
I like the Lowe's concept you went with, Corey. The 2x4 on the shoulder. You should just brand that ship those everywhere.
Yeah, everybody at Disney, they could just carry those around, and if somebody's a little too close, they get bonked in the head. That's all good.
Yeah. I will say one thing that I saw for the first time since I've been out was at City Walk. Someone had a face shield on completely, and that seemed a lot more comfortable.
Like the plastic one?
Yeah. I'm not sure where you just get a random face shield. I'm not sure if
people have been 3D printing.
Oh, that makes sense.
So I think you can like print the thing.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah. But it seemed to be the most comfortable of any of the people walking around. Like that lady was she was strolling. She had some wind still hitting her. She was protected if someone came up and sneezed on her. Like I think it actually might be the best of all worlds.
I imagine her with like a tiny squeegee when that sneeze happens, and she just whoop.
Well, that'll be all of our professions. If we ever have to get laid off, we will just stand in the parks with a squeegee and offer to clean people's masks for tips. So.
Oh my gosh. That is too much. I've seen people coming out of their cars heading into the grocery store while I'm sitting in there waiting for my groceries to be put into the back of the van. But they'll have those ones that people use for like drywalling and painting and stuff with the whole thing and the two big filters on your cheeks, those giant things.
Oh yeah, wear that thing at Disney.
My goodness. I know.
You won't make it to the front gate.
5 minutes. Yeah, Oof.
Well, so
it's going to be a tough summer.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough summer. Does anyone else have anything to weigh in?
I think it's cruel summer, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Cruel summer.
Cruel summer. Yeah.
The only other thing I'll say is I've got about 2 or 3 of the neck Gators now, and I do like the concept that potentially you could actually wet those if you wanted to out in the warm heat and do that as much as you would like, and so it would hopefully keep you a little bit cool, almost like those cooling towels that you put around your neck. So it sort of kills 2 birds with 1 stone there.
Very, very good. So with that, we're going to move on to our next story that we're going to discuss briefly here. And that is that it seems like the NBA is getting closer to actually coming to Walt Disney World to finish out their 2019-2020 season. So this past Saturday, the NBA finally admitted that they were in talks to finish up the season here at Walt Disney World, and it's something that there was rumors flying around about for the longest time, and you might remember that we didn't talk about that during any of this time because I don't think any of us are really basketball fans here on the Diz. So maybe Paul is the slight outsider from all this, but I know I'm definitely not. I don't believe anyone else is. So
I collect Jordans. But I collect Jordans.
You're a shoe fan, not a basketball fan.
I'll tell you what, you don't want to see me play basketball. Woo! No go.
I used to play basketball.
I'm a poser.
It's fine. You're allowed to be, but this is it's very interesting. So as with Disney taking over the NBA, if they do, I mean, of course it'll primarily take place mostly at the ESPN Wide World of Sports because they do have the ability to broadcast games right from there. They have plenty of courts for practice and such. But I was reading one article from CBS Sports about all of this, and it's not even just the Wide World of Sports that makes a lot of sense, I guess, for Walt Disney World taking it over. But it's also beyond that they're saying if they had to utilize the Amway Center in downtown Orlando, then they're able to. If they had to go to if they needed extra practice courts, they could always go to any of the high schools in the area that aren't currently going to be using their courts for the rest of summer and haven't used them for quite a while now. And then also with Walt Disney World, they could, of course, cause a lot of issues by taking over full hotels in terms of housing the players and giving them a place to actually stay. So, the talks that the NBA and Disney are doing, it obviously makes sense, but it does really make sense the more you break it down. I don't know how much it will impact any of us unless they do take over an entire hotel and end up canceling reservations because of it. But does anyone have any thoughts, opinions on this?
So one thing I've looked into over the past few days, and I apologize if you're banging in the background, they're installing new carpet for our dog that just lost a leg. So, I looked online, I looked at reservations that were available. And one thing to note is that throughout most of July right now, Coronado Springs is not showing any availability. Now, I have trouble with the thought that like LeBron is going to be shacked up in Coronado Springs. I feel like these players are going to want to do something a little bit snazzier than that. But the whole idea behind the NBA concept is that they really want to create this bubble in which they can sort of like keep the players, keep all of the staff associated with the teams, and make it a safe environment so that there's no disease spread, since it is a contact sport, and those guys are going to be around each other. So they just want to minimize that as best as possible. So like you said, Craig, it's going to determine, it's still very early. They're still talking, but depending on what they decide to do there, I mean, will justify the impact that we see at the parks.
I have a feeling that if it actually happens like that, I know you just brought up, like, we actually going to be able to see LeBron staying at Coronado Springs if that ends up being the place? I mean, I'm assuming that it's going to be written into whatever contracts have to be signed with all of it, that the players do have to stay there, because if they wouldn't, then the next step beyond that is players are going to start trying to rent houses in the area. They're going to try to start buying houses in the area, which I know sounds insane.
Anna
but
Martin at Golden Oak.
What's that?
I say contact my sister Anna Martin at Anna McKee. I keep calling by her name at Golden Oak. If y'all want to buy a house, NBA players, I know you're watching.
Yeah. It's for the one NBA player out there who's watching us, or the one person who knows an NBA player who's watching. Go ahead and contact Anna for all your housing needs at Golden Oak for the time being. But I just know from when years ago when I used to work at the Steelers training camp that was at my college, that they had to keep a lock on the players wanting to stay there, because if they would have even allowed one of the stars to try to rent like a house off site, then it would have just thrown everything into a crazy hectic state. So the same's going to have to be with the NBA. If they're going to, they can't just allow a couple of the biggest stars to have their own houses, or that's going to really throw things for a loop. The best way is to keep them all in one place. So I'm sure that's going to be written into some contracts that they have to sign, but at the same time, maybe not. I could be completely wrong by it.
I agree, Craig, keeping them all together. And, how hard would it be to just, take a whole wing and put them all in it at All Star Sports? I think they can shut that whole wing down and, put a little fence around that. They probably couldn't even fit on those beds.
They're going to love those twin size beds.
They're knee down, hanging off.
Yeah, that was my first thought, is that I struggle on some of the smaller beds in the area, and I'm only 6'4" with shoes on, so I can't imagine what happens once you start getting to 6'5", 6'6", and above from there. So, that'd be terrible. But
I'm not a player and I don't have that kind of money, but the understanding here is that for every game they play, obviously the players are going to get paid. So I know the Players Association is in on these talks, but I think that they are going to do whatever is necessary so that they can get back to the court and they can get paid to play games. Now there's a big debate over what that looks like. Are we going to see some regular season games and then go into the playoffs? Are we just going to see the playoffs? And so we're going to cut down the number of teams already. The idea that I heard of that I sort of liked was sort of a tournament style format. So I'm thinking of like NCAA tournament style NBA games, and in my head that sounds pretty cool. I mean, we know how hyped a lot of people get for the NCAA tournament. I think if they go that route, we may see the NBA change forever to a certain degree.
Yeah, I don't watch the NBA. I've been very clear about that. But if there was like a tournament style like that, I'd probably actually be more willing to. But it also has a lot to say with, I've been struggling on not having sports right now. Like, there's only so many old NHL games I can watch over and over again before even that starts getting a little bit boring. So I'm ready for anything in terms of sports, but because I feel like the only thing that I've been happy about truly with sports in the last couple months is when ESPN did the Ocho takeovers for the day and started showing the random wacky wild sports. So I'd be happy if they brought that back again.
It's also great that some of these workers get to go back. A lot of these vendors at Wild World Sports, because they were probably like, when's the next game going to happen? Just waiting on news, kind of like we're waiting on news. When's Disney going to open? So it's nice that, get some people back to work, even though it's not going to be, everybody. It'll be some, but that's good.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to topics. And we are going to take this show from Florida over to the opposite coast of California to Disneyland and kind of talk about some of the news that's been coming out of there in the past week. So last I'm not even going to pretend that I know days, but according to Jackie Gailey on May 23rd, the California governor moved the state into full phase 2 reopening for Orange County. Orange County, of course, being where the Disneyland resort is. So Orange County's request to reopen businesses was approved by California Governor Gavin Newsom. This is the part of phase 2, the plan to ease restrictions that were put into place due to the coronavirus pandemic. And so it says, effective immediately, in-restaurant dining and shopping centers may be patronized by the public as long as employees and customers adhere to physical distancing and other specified health guidelines. The Orange County health officer has issued a new order along with additional recommendations to help slow the spread of COVID-19, including people wearing face coverings when out in public. So that news, then, we're going to combine it with also Disneyland. Tom Bell said on May 21st that recent Disneyland Resort website updates happened and addressed limited availability and closures when the parks reopen. So with that, essentially, the website was updated to be similar to the verbiage that happened on the Walt Disney World website, saying, upon reopening, certain Disneyland Resort theme parks, hotels, restaurants, and other locations may be limited in capacity and subject to restricted availability or even closure based on guidance from health experts and government officials. Furthermore, certain attractions, experiences, services, and amenities will be modified, have limited availability, or remain closed. Park admission and offerings are not guaranteed. We will provide more information as it becomes available. We reserve the right to cancel any reservations, admission, media, or purchases and provide applicable refunds. So no information yet quite on when Disneyland Resort is going to open up. But just from our perspective, even though none of us are in California, we can't speak completely to what the situation is like in Orange County right now. We know LA is pretty strict, but with Anaheim area seems less strict on that. But it seems like Disney could be moving in place very quickly to get downtown Disney opened up at the very least, kind of like we got Disney Springs opened here first.
You want to talk about bottlenecks? That downtown Disney, that's a bottleneck right there.
Yeah,
especially around Ralph Brennan's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a baby.
Yeah, that's one of the only things that would that I feel like would truly hurt Disneyland in that capacity is that where Disney Springs is completely wide open and just really, really comfortable to be around. Downtown Disney and Disneyland Resort is tight. It's very, very tight and could be very clustered if lots of locals show up in that area to go to some of the dining and shopping that's available at downtown Disney. But I even think about that in terms of like Disneyland Park, where Disney California Adventure, you can get away with a lot more distancing in that park. Just think about walking through some of those bottlenecks in Adventureland and Fantasyland.
There's only one thing that I'm looking forward to seeing. Like when all these parks open, I want to see how Disneyland handles Fantasmic. I want to see a picture of that because that is so jam-packed at night. I want to see that spread out. I just can't even picture it in my head.
I think
it's going to be five people watching. Yeah.
Tape, like squared off tape like that. They're going to have to just leave the tape on the ground all day because how are they going to keep assembling that much space every night for that sort of a thing? But
damn, I should have invested in tape.
Right.
I think it'll be a lot of like one-way traffic over there where like if you go into Adventureland, you can kind of only go out through like where the treehouse is.
And that's obviously a good system to set in place for those tighter areas. So I don't think we have to worry about Fantasmic with Disneyland for a while. So I know Disney and Universal are two complete different places, but like for Universal with their reopening this first round, their parks are set to open from 9 to 6 and Volcano Bay is set for 10 to 5. So I think that we could expect something similar in terms of Disneyland and Walt Disney World, that we could expect probably 9 a.m. openings with closing somewhere around 6 or 7. So I don't think we have to worry about that for a while. But my problem with the arrows and directionals is that it's great if you have them on the ground, but I've even watched the people in Publix that are walking down the one-way aisles, and then they're like, oh no, I forgot something that happens to be all the way back at the very start of the aisle. And so then they run the entire length of the aisle, and they essentially just did exactly what you're not supposed to do. So I can only imagine what happens when someone's walking and realizes like, oh no, I wanted to actually go to Jungle Cruise. I'm not going to circle back around now that I'm already at the treehouse. I'm just gonna hightail it back. So
those are the people that we see crossing the median and the highway because they don't know to go up and turn around and come back down. So they're just like, bang a left right here on I-4.
Or those one-way angle parking where they go the wrong way because they don't.
I'm always like, the space faces you. The space faces you. That's how you know you're going the right way. Yeah.
They don't. That's the thing. People just don't. I'm so glad that I'm not part of the team that has to manage that. I mean, Disney is amazing at crowd control. Like I said, I think they just really know how to manage some crowds, but I can't even wrap my head around how they're going to manage crowds for things like that. I mean, the moving crowds are one thing, but the stationary standing in one place to watch a 45-minute show. Yeah. I hope you're right, Craig, about them not doing that for a bit, because I can just see that getting ugly fast, because it requires people to think about others and put other people first. And I have a hard time thinking that that's going to go very well.
I think I have again, this is all speculation. It's all we're doing is speculating, but I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more of backstage as guests of Disney. I think they're probably doing a lot of cleanup right now to redirect people to certain backstage areas, similar to the other parties they do at the Magic Kingdom. But I think I see this as being a permanent, one way in, one way out, and kind of directing traffic around that. I have no idea, but I really do. Speculation.
Well, and I've questioned for years why they haven't permanently opened that bypass at Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
I mean, it needed opened because it helps control the traffic through there. So maybe this is finally what gets them to permanently open that loop around.
I feel like there's nothing like walking down Main Street, though. And see, that's the other part. Like, at what point do you direct people down an alternate route
when you're late for a fast pass to Space Mountain and you just want to go, there's that time where you just want to take it all in and take it slow. But sometimes you have to kick it up a notch and drag your kids.
Well, the bypass would probably be the exit. It would probably be the way out.
Right.
Like, I'm sure they want you to go down Main Street to go in.
Yeah, that's true.
Oof. Yeah. That is all true. So I had something to say about it, and then I just completely forgot all in this, which I hate. I really hate that. I guess we'll talk about something else. But the PSA.
While you think of it, Craig.
Okay.
I was going to say real quick regarding Downtown Disney in Anaheim. I have trouble thinking of. Again, I'm not a local, but I have trouble thinking of if I were a local, I would want to go to Downtown Disney for the evening to hang out when there's a lot more other things you can do in that area. Now, I don't have that trouble when I think of maybe Disney Springs. And if I were a local in Orlando, I feel like there is enough draw perhaps to want to go and do something there. But when we see them open, it'll be interesting to see how many locals are actually utilizing those establishments.
Yeah, no, so I think one of the reasons why I wanted to get back to City Walk first wasn't just for work purposes, but for me, it also came down to the price. So I know that, with what I wanted a pizza from Red Oven and Voodoo Donuts. I know that right now Universal for annual pass holders is doing like discounts up to 25% on a lot of the dining establishments that are there for the highest level of annual pass, which is what I have. So, it's where I don't necessarily eat at Disney Springs and City Walk and such because they're not always in my budget. City Walk already tends to be a little bit cheaper with a lot of their restaurants. They're priced a lot closer to establishments that you would find outside of the theme parks. So I can stomach that and then throw on a discount. It's a lot better. I know with Disney Springs, like the only thing that I'm really considering once it, now that it's open, is the only thing I'm really considering is the quick service places like Earl of Sandwich that aren't breaking the bank. And I would probably give in for Chicken Guy once that opens up down the road. But for like a lot, like I see people pouring into Boathouse every single day. Like I know you can eat at Boathouse. I don't know what Boathouse is. But I know you can eat at Boathouse for, not too much money, but at the same time too, like I can't justify a $20 burger that might be the best burger on property when I can cook something just as good at home for a fraction of the price. So it's like, for me, Disney Springs, except for the quick service places, it's kind of right now, while we're watching our pockets and watching our spending, I can't even justify a lot of Disney Springs now that it's reopened. But that's just me on it. And then once you factor in California, I know people are used to California being more expensive, but like I can't. A lot of the places at Disney Spring or at Downtown Disney there, I love. I love Ralph Brennan's and I love a lot of the restaurants there, but I pay those prices because I'm there on vacation. And sometimes it's easier than getting a rental car or getting an Uber or a Lyft to take me to in and out all the time. So I'm just okay putting up with those prices, but it's also, if people are hit hard economically in Anaheim area and a lot of people lost jobs, then it might not be a thing where they could even draw a lot of locals and to want to come and spend $30 on a lunch at Ralph Brennan's or any other place.
But what about swing dancing?
That's not where I thought you were going.
It's going to take up the whole downtown Disney.
I don't have an answer for you on that, Corey. So I can't tell you the future of swing dancing. Maybe Rhino can share a little bit more on that.
No, that's not my forte.
Okay. Well, at least you're
tango.
Honest.
If we got to tango, it's fine. But swing.
Okay. Well, that's all I have to say about Disneyland. So I think wrapping up here, all we have to say is when you're driving, if you realized you missed a turn, be responsible. Don't try to do a dangerous U-turn and slow down traffic and block everyone. Go up to the next place that you reasonably can turn into and then turn around and redirect. Do not do dangerous U-turns when you don't need to. Be a responsible driver out there.
I thought the signs read no U-turn.
Yeah.
I hate you so much right now.
Dad joke.
Yeah, but the problem is someone probably genuinely does believe that out there, and that's why I hate you for bringing it up. Because
I don't believe everything I read.
Well, fantastic, Rhino. I was trying my best to stretch us out a little longer, so that way I didn't have to take your topic for this week's best and worst episodes here at the end.
It's fine.
Listen,
let me tell you about a bear. No.
I guess we haven't done housekeeping yet, so we'll see. We'll see after that. Maybe while we're doing housekeeping, I'll have time to find something else here. But does anyone have any housekeeping now that we've reached the end of the news portion?
I do. Okay, so I just want to say this because we talked about it amongst ourselves. But if ever there is something wrong, the show is not up or whatever, the first place you should check for that information would be the official Diz Twitter, because Craig will immediately write a message about it on there. Last week we had some issues with the show, and and he posted about it right away, but then we got a lot of questions both here and there and stuff like that. So I just want to direct people's attention to our Twitter, which is It's the Diz on Twitter, right? And then the.diz on Instagram. And, these are places that you can find information in regards to the show or anything like that. I'm not offended or upset that people asked about us, but I just feel like so many people asked that I felt like we should say something about checking the official social media channels first.
And Rhino, what I did is I added your direct email in the bio of the Diz. So hopefully that helps people out.
You gave them my address too, right?
Yeah,
so they could come by and knock on the door. I love a good random knock, so that's fine. But no, that's just a lot of people reached out, and I felt like we just kept answering the same question over and over again. So just make sure check it out over there. Just remember, follow us there.
All right, this doesn't have to. I already did my housekeeping about masks in news, but people have been asking about the bear situation. Right, I've been getting messages about when. For those who don't know, we live near Wakaiva, and we get a lot of animals in our yard. We don't live near Disney, so you're not going to get bears at Disney. We get them all the time. They
don't sing there?
Yeah, they do. But and somebody asked, why don't you call fish and what we do sometimes? But we kind of have this thing. We're kind of like a gang, our neighborhood. No snitches. Because the second there starts getting people start complaining about them, they'll open up bear hunting again. And they did that a couple of years ago, and it broke my heart. So we're just living with them. We don't want to call because I don't know what they're going to do with them. If they relocate them, fine. But I don't want them to euthanize them. So that's why we don't really call people. I just chase them off. No snitches.
Oh.
Okay.
I have a little bit of housekeeping.
Okay.
I like that, Corey. That's a great story. I like that, especially because that baby bear is too cute.
Oh, it really is. I just, I think the mom kicked her or him away. I haven't got that close to check, but
I keep wondering where the parent is.
The parent comes in our yard. I see her, and she's massive. And I'm not going to go face to face with that.
Oh gosh, no. Oh my gosh. They're pretty cute though. I always
y'all can see the stories on my Instagram. I feel like we're talking about like an inside joke or something. But anyway, I'm just trying to stretch this out so Rhino can use the topic the best.
It's fine, guys. I don't care. Yep. I could care less.
So my housekeeping is that I have a contemporary candle burning from Magic Candle Company, and it is making my whole world a better place right now because I don't know about you guys, but when you walk into the lobby of the Contemporary, you just get this whiff of the best smell in the world ever. And it's my most favorite. And I finally got another one in. So if you guys have tried to place an order with Magic Candle Company, they're running just a little bit behind right now because people are really trying to bring the smell of the most magical place on earth to their homes while everybody's stuck at home. And so they're a little bit backed up. But if you use code Disney Info, when you check out, you can save 15% on your entire order. So it is a really good time to try out some of their fun scents to bring that magic right into your house. So I, for one, need it
Jackie,
to get my little fill in.
You're like so magical. If I could be a fly on the wall, like when you receive your candle package, because I know you probably get all giddy.
I do. I get giddy just talking about it, and it's over in the kitchen, and I can smell it here in my office, and it's a great day when they deliver a box here. I'll tell you.
Hey, I got a shipping notification yesterday, and there was chatter over on some of the Facebook pages that a lot of people did, but I was excited to get that notification. I think I've got a Polynesian candle coming and a couple of the hand sanitizers.
Nice.
And if you've gone to their website and you've not seen the hand sanitizers, just check back often. I know that they've been in and out of stock just because the demand is crazy right now, but make sure you check back, and you should be able to get your hands on one.
Yeah.
I do have one more question.
Sure.
Corey Martin, how
Yes.
many bikes are you building?
I am building one for Ferris. I'm building one for Finley. I am building one for me. I'm building another one because somebody contracted me to build one for him.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm not. Yeah. So it's
the inside of your garage is looking like a bike shop.
Well, here's the thing. I have never built a bike before in my life. I needed something for during quarantine. you got to remember, I was off my feet, stuck at home throughout my entire broken hip. And I finally get to leave the house, and then they tell me to get the hell back inside. So I have all this built up energy that I can only do so much stuff around the house. So I decided, look, let me build Ferris a bike. And then it evolved into I can't do something for Ferris without Finley, and I can't do something for the kids without me. And then there's Julie. So I had to include her too.
Jeez.
She was.
You could try to become the Bear King, sort of like the Tiger King.
Well, so we're not going to do Rhino's topic here. First off, does anyone else have any housekeeping? Anyone? No? Bueller?
I mean.
Oh, vocals. There we go.
Just draw your attention one more time to the to our Patreon page. We appreciate everybody that has signed up during this time. That really helps support the running of the day-to-day of the show and keeps us in jobs and keeps us making the show. So thank you to everyone out there. And if you are interested in checking any of that stuff out, you can head over to patreon.com/disunplugged.
That is very good. Yes, I only mentioned the vocal part of this because we sometimes forget that we almost have just as many people listening to us as they watch on YouTube. So vocals always are important, and that's me being mean.
Speaking of that, Craig.
What?
Speaking of that, Craig, I wanted to end the show with doing a show and tell of all the masks we have. So this is strictly for those audio people.
Here you go, and here's this one. No descriptors. Here you go. Here,
Jackie, you were saying that
the next one.
You were saying that Magic Candles like they're backed up right now. I tell you what, Amazon Prime. It looks like they're getting their stuff back together. I don't know how I was living. What do you mean I can't get it tomorrow? It's like I have to wait 2 days for something. So it looks like they're getting back on track too. So that's good. Good news.
Okay, so here's our final topic of this. I don't know if I don't want to give press to this or anything, but I don't know if anyone was on Twitter yesterday and saw this guy who tweeted about how he creeped out is what he said. He was creeped out by adults who are obsessed with Disney in the Disney parks. Did any of you see this yesterday on social media, on Twitter?
I saw it a little bit.
Yeah, it was.
Who did he tweet
And
at?
I was like, whatever.
It was. I'm not gonna give out the name or anything. It's pretty easy to find if you want to, but I'm not giving this guy any more publicity. But it's like it, of course, devolved because Disney Twitter jumped on him, pretty much as you would expect from this. Just so everyone in our little call right now knows, we're on a 5-way split screen. So anything you're doing, even if you're not currently talking, we can see it all. So I should have gave you that a heads up on that before you started picking your noses
back on, everyone.
or anything like that. But so yeah, essentially this person pointed out that he believes that adult Disney fans creeped him out. And sorry, my dog's barking in the background. If you can hear that, a delivery truck just went past. So I think while we all are Disney fans and we all love Disney, there's one thing about Disney fandom that we can all say that we don't understand and we don't quite get from it. And so I that's at least how I feel. There's at least one thing you don't get. So let's talk about what's the one thing in the Disney fandom that we don't quite understand. Everyone has a personal one. I'll say this just fully as someone who goes to Pete's house. Well, not during this, but before leading up to this, I will never understand the candle thing. It's taken Disney fans by storm so much how they want these candles so they can smell Disney in their homes. I don't get that at all. I dislike candles very much. They make my nose hurt so much and I feel the wax build up inside and it drives me nuts. But that's one thing that I will just never understand about it. People wanting their homes to smell like Disney stuff outside of Disney. But anyone else have
one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I don't understand how aggressive people can be about it. I I don't mean it I mean like aggressively fun. That's great. But, this is a community that I would say, you have that guy who said, I don't, adult Disney fans creep me out, whatever. But like, okay, so if there is that perception, like when you're a part of a fandom, I sometimes hate fandoms that don't let new people in. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be, oh, well, you haven't seen this and you haven't done that and you haven't been to this park and done this thing. Like it doesn't matter how much you have or haven't done in Disney. You can still be a fan. You could have never been to the theme parks and be like the biggest fan there is. Just because you went to a park doesn't make you a bigger fan than somebody else. It just means you had a better opportunity in your life. And so that's part of that stuff I don't understand. It happens in my Power Ranger stuff too. And I get on people all the time where I'm like, come on, how many adults like this stuff? Like we should all be supporting each other and like be here for each other. Right.
Yeah, Rhino, that going off of you helped me out here because I was thinking of something and you kind of hit it with, in the Disney fandom, and I'm talking mainly online. You see it in the parks too, but how mean people can be to newcomers. You see it as, I see it on certain forums I'm on. Somebody goes and asks a question and their first response was, you didn't do your research, or they sent the Google link. Like, come on, people. It's like, yeah, I know the topic has been covered a million times, but I don't have the time to go looking for it. That's why I'm asking the damn question. Yeah. So it's those people, like, be open, help the person out. They're asking a simple question. It would have taken you less time to answer that than to think up some nonsense on how am I going to respond to this new person who didn't do their research.
I just do want to say
that, and people who wear jeans in the heat of the summer at the park.
I do want to point something out. There's a person in our chat right now that's a good example of the opposite of that, and that's Tigarette. I feel like we've all met her at some point or another. That's that I asked her she's really into like people dressed like the stormtroopers and they're 501 First Legion, and I knew nothing about it, and I was asking her a question about something to do with stormtrooper armor because I wanted to do like this Obi-Wan Kenobi thing, and she had like pages of information for me. She had like she checked back in with me again more than once, and and I was like, that's what I dream this community can be. Don't be a clique, don't be a mean girl at the table. Let everyone sit at the table with you. I mean, 6 feet away, but let them sit with you.
Yeah, normally those people on some of the groups that we have on Facebook, I just reply and say, thank you for your meaningful contribution to the conversation. I mean, it's mine, I would steer more down towards where Craig was. And I'm probably going to get first show, a bunch of hate probably for this, and it'll probably start at Fiasco, but I have never understood pin trading. I am all about buying things that I can use or that are functional or that I'm going to use in my everyday life. So if you're a pin trader and you wear like a shirt just emblazoned with all your pins, then I'm all for it. But I just don't. Maybe, I don't know. I guess I just don't see. It's like baseball cards, and I can tell you that I have about 17 3-ring binders in my attic of baseball cards right now. So it's just
Paul, you make a good point. As far as like the trading part, we've collected pins. I don't know that you can be one or the other, or you can be both. We collected pins, but what Julie and I did when we first moved here, I had my side of the card, she had hers, and we would stick them up in the visor, our own visors. And then, but we never traded. We just collected. She was collecting Aurora, and I was collecting Donald Ducks and stuff like that. But we never collected them to say, "Oh, this one sucks. I need a better one."
Yeah, I've got
one. And then they're all faded now because you put the visor down. So we have a bunch of white pins.
Next project, repainting pins. Yeah, I've got like one thing that has like one pin from each park, and I think it's from like the 2000 celebration. But it was just like I've got like 5 pins that I own, and that was just because I wanted to commemorate that year and that special occasion.
Sorry about that, guys. We had a brief interruption there for a second in the middle of Paul's talking about the pins there. So right at the end there, I know y'all didn't notice because we're all just on Skype together, but we did. We dropped out right there.
I'm still recording, so.
Oh yeah, no, we're back on live right now. It'll probably take people a little while to to get back in here on this, but yeah.
Listen, okay. Like,
yeah, no, I don't think we have.
Like.
Do we even have anything else to say with this?
Did Jackie have one? No.
I was going to kind of say what Corey said, because that's one thing that I don't understand and that I've never been able to wrap my head around is how upset people get when new Disney fans or Disney vacation planners ask trip planning questions. And I don't understand why some folks get so upset because the question's been asked a million times before. I just don't understand that because, people are having new babies all the time. Young families are just starting out all the time. And, it goes against everything in me to not just automatically want to help people and show them the magic. So that always has kind of baffled me about Disney fans, because usually when you're fans of something, you want to share it with everyone.
Well, and there are bigger fans of things. Not everybody has the time to put in the research for a Disney vacation like this. So when somebody wants to ask, a legit question like, what time is the 2:00 parade? Somebody should respond to them, Yeah. Just letting them know.
Yeah. I think so too.
We have to put ourselves in those shoes from time to time and remember that we all were those first timers at some point. And so we need to just respond to those people and kindly give them the information that they want. Because otherwise, like I said earlier, it's just the contribution to the conversation is not. It doesn't give anything. Like that person legitimately has a question and we should answer it. So
instead of making them feel bad, like, you're in a group of people that already knows everything there is to know. So if it's
intimidating, it's very intimidating.
Yeah. And if you're in some of our newer DVC fan, I know since I moderate that a lot, and a DCL fan, we've really tried to sort of generate those cultures in those groups to try to make it friendly, open, inviting, and sort of show to the door the other people that just aren't contributing to the conversation.
Well, excellent. I think this ended up being a very deep, meaningful conversation that hopefully we helped some people with. And if not, oh well.
That's you just made a bunch of people think about how we helped them. They probably can't think of one thing.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But anyways, we have stuff to do. We have work to continue on with today. So I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged. So thanks for being with us, everyone. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you again next week with another episode. But until then, I don't have an outro for this show. So